me by your name and I'll call you by mine.
Elliot.
Oliver.
Elliot.
Oliver.
Elliot.
Well, once again, it's June, and Pride Month is here, when all the corporations suddenly turn incredibly gay. On Movie Night Extravaganza, we take June as an opportunity to watch some queer cinema. Last year, our picks were all over the place. We watched Dog Day Afternoon, a more uncommon mainstream movie with gay characters from the 1970s, as well as more recent movies like The Handmaiden and Moonlight. This year, our picks are all from the same span of time, 2015 to 2018, which 3 of our 4 movies last year also came out of. All of the movies for Pride Month this year are actually from directors who have had a pretty crazy couple of years. Tonight, we're starting with Luca Guadagnino's 2017 coming-of-age romance, Call Me By Your Name.
I can't believe you changed it again.
Oh, I changed it a little bit.
Yeah, why?
I just played it the way Busoni would have played it if he'd altered Liszt's version.
Followed by Yorgos Lanthimos as The Favorite, Sean Baker's Tangerine, and Todd Haynes' Carol. Luca has come out of the gate this year with the movie Challengers, the Zendaya vehicle and tennis love triangle movie, which was written by Celine Song's husband, Justin Curticus. Challengers took the box office by storm, overtaking Alex Garland's Civil War, to become number 1 at the box office opening weekend. Although Lucas started making films in 1999, they were mostly just successful in Italy. His debut film, The Protagonist, in 1999, began his long collaboration with Tilda Swinton. Swinton also joined his 2009 romantic drama, I Am Love, the first of what would become known as Luca Guadagnino's Desire trilogy. Following that up in 2015 with another Tilda Swinton film, A Bigger Splash. This film was picked up by Fox Searchlights for distribution in North America. It was filmed in English, Italian, and French, a language meshing that Luca enjoys doing. It was modestly successful with a $2 million box office in the US, $7 million worldwide. In 2017, Luca released the third of his Desire trilogy, Call Me By Your Name, a film that would propel not just its director to international success, but its young star, Timothée Chalamet.
Oh, you're gonna fucking kill me if you do that.
Oh, I hope not.
Timothy had been a supporting actor in Christopher Nolan's Interstellar, and the young Stephen Elliott in The Adderall Diaries, but had not starred in anything when he was cast in Call Me By Your Name. The film was adapted from a 2007 novel by Andre Aciman, the Italian-American author. It took 10 years to get the film out of development hell, after 2 producers read the book while making Milk in 2008. 3 sets of directors and writers refused to commit to making the film, and in some ways, it's understandable. In 2008, gay stories were just starting to be popular movie fare. Brokeback Mountain and Milk had come out in the mid-2000s, but it wasn't really until the 2010s, especially once gay marriage was legalized in the US, the amount of projects involving gay stories really blew up. Queer movies of the early 2000s were more simplistic, often biopics like Capote or Milk, or novelty films such as Brokeback Mountain, musicals like Rent or Hedwig and the Angry Inch. A more complicated and beautiful exception to that is obviously Mulholland Drive. The project, Call Me By Your Name, which had been optioned in 2008, weathered this period of cinema, but no director or writer committed, and I'd guess that pop culture just wasn't ready for it. In the mid-2010s, LGBTQ characters and stories were more seamlessly and easily put forward into films. Starting in 2013 and continuing well until now, a boom of more diverse, interesting, and creative queer stories have graced our mainstream cinema. Call Me By Your Name was picked up by Luca as he worked on A Bigger Splash. For a screenwriter, the 89-year-old B-movie powerhouse James Ivory worked tirelessly for 9 months while Luca finished A Bigger Splash. Ivory would make history as an 89-year-old Oscar winner for Best Adapted Screenplay. Neither Timothée Chalamet or Armie Hammer auditioned for their roles. Guadagnino saw Armie Hammer in The Social Network and knew he had played multiple gay characters. Timothée Chalamet was introduced to Luca by the talent agent Brian Swardstrom, whose husband Peter Spears was a producer on the film. 2017 ended up being a groundbreaking year for Timothy, as he was also in Lady Bird.
So World War II, huh?
Oh, no, this is World War I. You have to be at least 80 years old to have known any of them.
I never even heard of the Battle of Piave.
Battle of Piave was one of the most lethal battles in World War I. 170,000 people died.
Is there anything you don't know?
By the end of the year, he was seen as one of the most promising young stars working in Hollywood. The collaboration between Luca Guadagnino and James Ivory is intense, to say the least. Call Me By Your Name does more than it really has any business doing. It's obviously called a love story, but I think a more accurate term is a coming-of-age story. Timothée Chalamet plays Elio, a 17-year-old Jewish-American French-Italian student who's living in northern Italy with his archaeologist father and mother for the summer. Each summer, Elio's eccentric bookish father, Mr. Perlman, played by Michael Stuhlbarg, employs a grad student to help him with organization and research. This is where Oliver, played by Armie Hammer, the 24-year-old grad student, comes from. Elio falls for Oliver in a first intense gay relationship where he loses virginity to both genders, exploring with Oliver more than anyone. A lot of this film works. The film is in 3 different languages: English, Italian, and French. Entire scenes are in French with no subtitles. Other scenes are in Italian, also with no subtitles. The point is to make us as an audience feel torn between worlds and lost as Elio does.
Maman? Ouais, c'est moi. Ah ouais, tout va bien. Je suis à la station à Clouzone. Écoute, maman, tu peux venir me chercher, maman?
This is hammered home by Elio's life as a Jewish American in Italy, othered in every possible direction. This is then compounded by Elio's realization that he's gay. Of course, Mr. Perlman loves his son, and as a liberal, tolerant, eccentric professor, albeit an absent-minded one for sure, he doesn't care if Elio's gay, straight, bi. In fact, in one deeply ironic scene early on, Mr. Perlman becomes enraged that his son may be homophobic or uncomfortable around his gay friends.
You'll play. You're too old not to accept people for who they are. What's wrong with them? What's wrong with them? You call them Sonny and Cher behind their back?
That's what Mom
then you
calls
accept
them. That's
gifts
what Mom
from them?
calls them.
The only person that reflects badly on is you. Is it because they're gay or because they're ridiculous?
But I think as most kids would do, Elio tries to keep his sexuality secret even as his dad comes to realize. The psychology that Elio displays towards Oliver, at least at first, is less attraction than jealousy and revulsion. Oliver is everything Elio at 17 is not: confident, attracts people, and oozes sexuality. Perhaps not that he's openly secure with either, but more aware of. And the thing that Elio wants more than anything is to understand his own feelings as the hormones course through him. Oliver is also Jewish like Elio, but is not afraid of being open about it, while Elio's family attempts to be Jews of discretion. A less effective and more heavy-handed subplot, in my opinion, has Mr. Perlman finding and cataloging an extremely homoerotic Greek statues with Oliver and Elio. As Mr. Perlman critiques the physique of these ancient figures, it's clear the double meaning is about this gay relationship. I don't think this whole subplot really serves to do much except be a heavy-handed reminder of the archaeological connection to gay modernity. Another dimension to it, I guess, is the connection that Greek antiquity has to the concept of Spartan relationships between adult warriors and their younger comrades in order to bond them in war. There's been a lot of silly criticism about age gap discourse, which both in real life, Timothée Chalamet was 20 and Armie Hammer was 29 during the filming. He just looked like a 35-year-old man, and Timothy looks 12. In the film, with 17 and 24 being their respective ages as characters. But I think the romance is less important than the psychology going on inside of Elio's brain as he attempts to parse through all of his feelings and desires. Oliver mainly just serves to be someone more experienced that can guide Elio through some of what he's traversing. Elio also experiments and loses virginity to his French girlfriend, Marja, in an awkward and comical sequence. It's worth pointing out that Marja isn't Jewish, isn't American, and shares the French language with Elio, but not all of these traits that Elio is attempting to work through. As an audience, we're kept out of Elio and Marja's conversations too, as they're in French, and we can only read their body language. I do want to point out a certain pretentiousness to this film. There's much that seems inspired by French directors like Godard and Truffaut. The cast, which is stellar, ensures that many of the things that would seem more pretentious does come off as charming. One scene sees Timothée Chalamet jack off into a peach, then Armie Hammer try to eat the peach, which, look, after the cannibal allegations, Armie isn't beating the allegations, let's just say that.
I'm sick, aren't I? I wish everybody was as sick as you.
Please don't do that.
You want to see something sick?
Don't do that.
You want to see something sick?
Please don't do this. Hey, please don't do this.
Timothée Chalamet does a good job with the moodiness and near constant melodrama that surrounds a teenager with hormones coursing through his body. My personal favorite part, after a very long 2 hours of film, is the final conversation between Timothy and his father. Mr. Perlman, who has been absent-minded and eccentric for most of the film, reveals he knows about Elio's relationship with Oliver, and finally attempts to show Elio the understanding and tenderness that he's clearly needed the whole movie, reassuring him that these young flings between men aren't bad, aren't sickness, and are in fact something to treasure. There is such a sweetness and tenderness that Michael Stuhlbarg brings to the scene. Call Me By Your Name throws everything at the 2 hour and 10-minute runtime. Some of it works and is charming and sweet. Some of it is unnecessary and adds to a very long film, but is anchored by a great cast, and there's much to talk about here.
Look, you had a beautiful friendship. Maybe more than a friendship. And I envy you. My place, most parents would hope the whole thing goes away. Pray their sons land on their feet, but I am not such a parent.